He sits there, staring at his phone like it holds the key to his entire existence. Every vibration, every notification that pops up that isn't the one he's waiting for feels like a dagger. His mind spirals. Why hasn't she replied? Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? Should I text again? Each thought tightens the chains around his mind, making him a prisoner of his own need for validation. That phone screen becomes a mirror reflecting his desperation, and deep down, he knows it. He's giving his power away, one anxious glance at a time. This is what most people don't understand. The more you chase, the further it runs from you. It's not just about relationships, it's about life. The energy of neediness is heavy. People feel it. They sense it in your tone, your words, your actions. It makes you repulsive without you even realizing it. The truth is brutal but freeing. What you chase will run from you. Why? Because chasing signals lack, and lack signals weakness. Now picture this. The scene changes. The man puts his phone down, not out of anger, but out of choice. He exhales, and for the first time, he's present. He walks away from that endless waiting game and picks up a book instead. He turns off notifications, ties his shoes, and goes for a run. His mind clears with every step. He's no longer shackled to someone else's response. In that moment, he shifts from reactive to proactive, from needy to powerful. That's the transformation detachment creates. Detachment is not about giving up on love, on success, or on the things you desire. It's about letting go of the obsession, the suffocating need that turns you into a beggar. Detachment is power because it puts the control back in your hands. When you need nothing, you fear nothing. And when you fear nothing, you become unstoppable. Most people think being detached means not caring. They think it's cold, heartless, robotic. That's a lie. Detachment is not indifference, it's independence. It's caring deeply without being enslaved by the outcome. It's loving without losing yourself. It's wanting but not needing. That's the balance most will never achieve because they confuse attachment with love, and that confusion destroys them. Think about it. Why do we chase? Because we think that having this person, this job, this opportunity will complete us. We believe that without it, we're not enough. That's the trap. That's why you keep refreshing your messages like your life depends on it, because you've tied your worth to someone else's approval. The moment you do that, you lose. Now, imagine a different reality. Imagine waking up and not caring whether or not they text you back because you're too focused on your mission. You have things to build, mountains to climb, a body to train, a mind to sharpen. You're too busy creating a life so fulfilling that someone's delayed reply barely registers in your awareness. That's detachment. That's the energy shift that turns you into a magnet. People feel when you don't need them to breathe. They feel when you move with purpose, with calm, with certainty. That energy? It's rare. And because it's rare, it's irresistible. The voiceover says, the moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. Detachment is power. And it's not just a catchy phrase, it's a law of life. When you chase, you're signaling that what you want is more important than your self-respect. When you beg, you communicate that you are incomplete without them. But when you detach, you send a different message. I am whole. I am enough. I choose, I do not need. That's the kind of energy that bends reality in your favor. Look at nature. Water flows to the lowest point because it's grounded, not because it's running after something. Fire doesn't chase oxygen. It burns, and oxygen comes to it. The sun doesn't beg the planets to orbit. It simply shines, and everything revolves around it. That's detachment in its purest form. Being so complete in yourself that everything else gravitates toward you. This man in the visual, he understands that now. He's running, sweat dripping down his forehead, but there's no stress in his eyes. He's free. Free from the prison of waiting, free from the disease of overthinking, free from the chains of need. And in that freedom, he becomes powerful. He becomes attractive, not because he's trying to be, but because he's living in alignment with himself. That's what makes detachment magnetic, the effortless confidence of someone who knows they are enough. Here's the truth that will change your life if you let it. The less you need something, the more power you have over it. This applies to people, money, opportunities, everything. When you cling, you suffocate. When you release, you breathe, and so does everything around you. People want to be around someone who is whole, someone who is calm, someone who isn't desperate for validation. Detachment makes you that person. And don't mistake this for arrogance. This isn't about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about understanding your value and refusing to compromise your peace for someone who doesn't see it. It's about living in abundance, not in lack. It's about replacing the thought, "I hope they like me," with "I like myself," and that's enough. When you operate from that mindset, the world responds differently. People respect what respects itself. So next time you catch yourself glued to your phone, waiting for a reply that may or may not come, remember this moment. Ask yourself, am I giving my power away? Am I letting someone else's attention define my worth? If the answer is yes, put the phone down. Walk away. Invest that energy into yourself, into your health, your purpose, your craft. Because the truth is simple. The most attractive thing you can do is not need anyone. Need kills attraction. Independence creates it. Detachment is not the absence of love. It's the presence of self-respect. It's saying, I want you, but I don't need you. I'd love for you to stay, but I'll be fine if you don't. That's strength. That's confidence. That's power. And when you master that energy, you'll notice something strange happening. The very people you stop chasing will start chasing you. Why? Because they feel the shift. They feel that you've become a man who chooses, not a man who begs. A man who leads, not a man who follows. The visual ends with him sitting in peace after his run, reading a book, drinking water, smiling. Not because someone finally texted back, but because he stopped caring. That's the victory. That's the transformation. And the voiceover lingers in your mind like an echo. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. Detachment is power. Because it is. He sits hunched over his phone, eyes glued to the glowing screen like it's his lifeline. Notifications light up, but not the one he's waiting for. He scrolls through old messages, searching for hidden meanings, replaying conversations in his head. His thumb hovers over the keyboard. Should I text again? Should I say something funny? Maybe they didn't see it. Seconds feel like hours. His chest tightens with every moment of silence. He checks their social media. They're online. They're active. They're liking other people's posts, but not responding to him. That silence screams louder than any words ever could. The more he stares, the smaller he feels. His entire mood hangs on one thing, a reply. That's the trap. That's neediness. And it's poison. Neediness is not love. It's not connection. It's fear wearing the mask of affection. Fear of being alone. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of not being enough. And fear is repulsive. You think you're showing someone you care, but what they feel is pressure. They feel your dependence. They sense the desperation in every word, every call, every glance. It's not attractive, it's suffocating. Here's the brutal truth. When you need someone, you make yourself weak. You hand over your power like a gift, and in return, you get nothing but anxiety. You stop being in control of your life because your happiness depends on someone else's attention. Think about that for a second. One person, with one message, has the power to make or break your day. Do you understand how dangerous that is? And the worst part? The more you try, the worse it gets. The more you chase, the faster they run. You think your persistence will win them over, but persistence born from need never works. It doesn't say I'm confident. It says I'm desperate. And desperation kills attraction faster than anything else. Look at the man on screen. He's refreshing his messages like a gambler pulling a slot machine, hoping for a win. Every second that passes without a reply chips away at his self-worth. He's not thinking about his goals, his health, his purpose. All his energy is locked on one thing he cannot control, someone else's response. That is the prison of neediness, a cage you build with your own hands. Why does this happen? Because most people live with the illusion that happiness is something you get from others. They believe they need approval to feel worthy. That's why they chase likes, comments, attention. That's why they beg for validation in relationships. They think, if this person wants me, I'm valuable. If they don't, I'm nothing. But here's the truth they don't want to face. No one can make you valuable but you. When you need, you lose leverage. In business, in friendships, in love, it's the same rule. The person who needs the least holds the most power. And when you need someone to stay, to validate you, to make you feel complete, you've already lost. They might stick around, but not because they respect you. They'll stay because they like the control. They'll feel your weakness, and weakness never commands respect. Watch how the scene changes. The camera zooms in on his face, tired, anxious, frustrated. He puts the phone down, but only for a second before picking it back up. His life is on pause because someone hasn't given him the attention he craves. And then the voiceover cuts in like a blade. Needing someone makes you weak. Read that again. Let it burn into your mind. Needing anyone, emotionally, mentally, even financially, places them above you. It says, "You are my source of happiness. Without you, I'm empty." That is not love. That is dependency. And dependency is the opposite of strength. Strong people want, but they don't need. They choose, but they don't beg. They love, but they don't lose themselves. That's the difference between attraction and repulsion, between confidence and desperation. Confidence says, "I want you, but I'll be fine without you." Need says, "I can't live without you." Which one sounds more powerful? Which one sounds more attractive? People can feel energy. You don't have to say a word. They sense it in your tone, in your actions, in your silence. When you text someone 10 times in a row, when you check their social media every 5 minutes, when you can't stop thinking about what they're doing, you're radiating lack. And lack repels. People don't want to be around someone who's empty. They want someone who's full, someone who's whole, someone who brings energy, not drains it. Think about the people you admire. The leaders, the winners, the ones everyone seems drawn to. Do they look like they're begging for attention? Do they look like their mood depends on a text message? No, they move with purpose. They're focused on their mission. They're too busy building themselves to obsess over whether someone likes them. That's why people like them. That's why they attract without trying, because they don't need. Now look back at the visual. He's still waiting, still checking, still hoping. He thinks that if he just says the right thing, if he just tries harder, everything will work out. But he doesn't realize the truth yet. The harder he tries, the further away it gets. He doesn't understand that attraction dies the moment need shows its face. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing, when you truly let go, that's when everything starts coming to you. People can feel detachment. They can feel when your world doesn't revolve around them, when your happiness isn't dependent on their presence. That kind of energy is magnetic because it's rare. Most people are needy. Most people are desperate. When you're not, you stand out. You become the calm in the storm. You become the gravity everyone wants to orbit. But before you reach that point, you need to kill the lie you've been living. The lie that says, "I need them to feel whole." You don't. You never did. The truth is, the moment you make someone your oxygen, you stop breathing on your own. And the only way to take back your power is to cut off that dependency. Put the phone down. Stop waiting. Stop begging for validation that should come from yourself. Start building your life so big, so fulfilling, that their response, or lack of it, becomes irrelevant. Fill your time with progress, not with overthinking. Chase your goals, not people. Because people respect strength, not weakness. They respect those who choose themselves first. The voiceover closes the scene with a final truth, one that echoes long after the image fades. Needing someone makes you weak. Stop giving away your power. Because the second you stop needing, you start winning. Imagine this. A heated argument is unfolding. Voices are raised. Emotions are spilling over like boiling water, and everyone in the room is locked in a tug-of-war for control. But then, one person steps back. Calm, silent, not in surrender, but in complete command of themselves. They don't argue. They don't justify. They simply walk away with quiet confidence. And suddenly, all eyes follow them. Why? Because that calmness in chaos speaks louder than any words ever could. That is detachment. Detachment is not coldness. It's not indifference. It's strength. It's the ability to walk away from drama, from chaos, from anything that seeks to control you, and remain untouched. Most people are slaves to emotions. They react instantly. They chase validation. They cling to things and people as if their entire worth depends on it. But a detached person? They're different. They don't need control over others. They only control themselves. And that's why they become magnetic. Here's the truth. People want what they can't control. It's human nature. When something is easy to get, we take it for granted. When someone is always available, always seeking approval, always bending over backward to be liked, we stop valuing them. Why? Because they've given away their power. They've placed themselves at our feet, and nothing rare or precious is ever found there. But what happens when someone refuses to play that game? What happens when someone doesn't need your attention, your approval, your presence to feel whole. Suddenly, you notice them. You start wondering about them. You feel drawn to them because they are rare. In a world full of neediness, detachment is like oxygen. It's refreshing. It makes people curious. It creates mystery. Let's break this down. When you're detached, you send a silent message to the world. I am enough. That's power. That's confidence at its purest form. You're not chasing. You're not begging. You're not bending. You're living. And when people see someone who can live without them, it triggers something deep in their psychology. Why aren't they chasing me? Why aren't they trying harder? What do they have that makes them so secure? That curiosity turns into respect. And respect is the foundation of attraction. Detachment makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is magnetic. Why do you think people are obsessed with those who remain a mystery? Because certainty kills desire. If someone knows you'll always be there, no matter what, you stop being exciting. You stop being valuable. You become predictable, and predictability breeds boredom. But detachment? Detachment says, I'm not here to entertain you. I have my own life, my own mission, and I'm not afraid to walk away. That makes people lean in. The person who doesn't cling, who doesn't chase, who doesn't crumble under pressure, that person is rare. And rarity creates value. Think about diamonds. They're just rocks, but they're rare. That's why people will fight for them, pay for them, die for them. The same principle applies to you. When you're detached, when you don't give your attention so easily, your time becomes valuable. Your energy becomes precious. And people start working for what you don't hand out for free. But let's clear something up. Detachment is not about pretending. It's not about playing games or acting like you don't care when you actually do. That's manipulation. And manipulation always backfires. True detachment comes from abundance. From the inner knowing that your worth is not tied to anyone or anything outside of you. That's the kind of detachment that draws people in. Not because you're trying to make them chase, but because you're genuinely not chasing. So how does detachment create attraction in real life? Look at the visual. A person walks away calmly from drama. Everyone else is shouting, trying to prove a point, trying to win an argument that won't matter in a week. But this person, they leave the noise behind. They don't explain themselves. They don't beg to be understood. They value their peace more than someone else's chaos. And that makes them powerful. People watching can't help but notice. They think, what gives them that strength? How are they so unaffected? That question alone makes them magnetic. Now think about relationships. Most people destroy attraction because they overinvest. They give everything up front, attention, time, energy, before the other person has even earned it. They text constantly. They wait for replies like it's oxygen. They put their lives on hold for someone who hasn't proven they deserve that kind of devotion. That's not love. That's neediness disguised as affection. And neediness kills desire. Detachment flips the script. When you're detached, you don't stop caring. You stop needing. You stop seeking validation. You stop trying to control outcomes. You focus on yourself, your goals, your growth. And ironically, that's when people start chasing you. Because they can feel the difference. You're no longer radiating desperation. You're radiating independence. You've become the prize instead of the pursuer. Psychologically, this works because of scarcity. The human brain values what is rare. When your attention is everywhere, it's worthless. When your attention is selective, it's priceless. Detachment makes your attention scarce, and therefore valuable. That's why the man who walks away from drama, who doesn't engage in nonsense, who chooses peace over chaos, becomes irresistible. He's not starving for approval. He's not on his knees for attention. He's standing tall, living by his own rules. But detachment is more than a tactic. It's a lifestyle. It's choosing peace over people-pleasing. It's choosing self-respect over validation. It's walking away from arguments that don't serve you, relationships that drain you, and environments that kill your growth. And when you do that, you send a clear signal. I'm not afraid to be alone. I'm not afraid to walk away. I value myself first. That's what makes you untouchable. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing anyone, everyone wants you. Why? Because you've stepped into true freedom. You're no longer controlled by the opinions, moods, or actions of others. You're unshakable, and that kind of energy is rare. People are addicted to control. They love feeling like they have power over others. But when they can't control you, they become obsessed with understanding you. That's the silent power of detachment. It turns the tables without you lifting a finger. Look back at the visual one last time. The person walking away calmly while the chaos continues behind them. That's the image you should burn into your mind. Because that is power. Not the loud power of someone screaming to be heard. Not the desperate power of someone fighting for attention. But the quiet power of someone who knows their worth so deeply that they refuse to let the world shake them. People want what they can't control. People respect what they can't move. Detachment makes you both. And once you master it, you'll never have to chase again, because everything that matters will find its way to you. Picture a man sitting alone in a quiet room, the soft glow of the morning sun streaming through the window. He's not scrolling through his phone. He's not chasing notifications. He's meditating, eyes closed, steady breath, calm and present. Later, he opens a journal and begins writing. Not about others. Not about who texted back or who didn't. He writes about his goals, his vision, his purpose. That man, he understands something most people never learn: the psychology of detachment. Detachment is more than an action. It's a mindset. It's rooted in deep psychology, how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the world. And once you master it, everything changes. Why? Because human relationships, attraction, and respect all operate on invisible laws. And detachment? It taps into the most powerful one of all, the law of value and desire. At the core, every human being craves two things: certainty and challenge. We want security, but we also want excitement. We want to feel desired, but we also want to earn it. Here's the paradox. When someone becomes too available, too predictable, they kill the challenge. They destroy the very tension that makes them desirable. Why? Because neediness repels. And detachment? It magnetizes. Think about it. What is neediness? It's the energy of lack. It screams, "I am not enough unless you validate me. I need your attention to feel whole." That energy pushes people away because it feels heavy, suffocating, desperate. It's not love, it's dependence. And dependence kills attraction. People run from it instinctively, even if they can't explain why. On the other hand, detachment sends the opposite signal. It says, "I am complete with or without you. I value you, but I do not need you to define my worth." That energy is light. It's free. It's abundant. And abundance is attractive because it's rare. Most people are drowning in scarcity, chasing approval like oxygen. When you refuse to play that game, you stand out. But why does detachment create such magnetic power? It's psychology, pure and simple. Humans are wired to pursue what feels scarce and to take for granted what feels guaranteed. When your attention, your presence, your energy are always on demand, they lose value. It's like water in the ocean, everywhere, endless, unappreciated. But when something is rare, when it cannot be controlled, people crave it. They respect it. They want it. Detachment makes you that rare thing. Now, understand this. Detachment is not about neglect. It's not about playing games or pretending not to care. Fake detachment is manipulation, and people feel it. True detachment comes from purpose, from fullness, from knowing who you are and living in alignment with your values and mission. When you have that, you don't have time to obsess over who liked your post or who texted first. You're too focused on building something real. That's the psychology of detachment. It flows from self-mastery. And this is where the visual comes in. The man meditating, journaling, living with purpose. Why meditation? Because meditation trains you to control your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. It teaches you to detach from impulses, from fear, from the constant need for external validation. Every time you sit in silence, you tell your mind, "I am not my craving. I am not my fear. I am enough." That's powerful. That's freedom. Then there's journaling. Writing is not just about words, it's about clarity. Most people are anxious because they lack direction. They cling to people because they have no mission. They attach themselves to relationships because they have no purpose of their own. Journaling fixes that. It forces you to face yourself, to define your goals, to create a life that excites you, independent of anyone else. And when you live like that, detachment is natural. You don't need to force it. You just become it. Finally, living with purpose. This is the ultimate key. When you are mission-driven, you stop being emotionally dependent. You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Am I building something that matters?" That shift is everything. Because the truth is, people chase those who chase something greater than themselves. Purpose is magnetic. It makes you rare. It makes you valuable, and it makes you untouchable. Here's another psychological layer: power dynamics. Every relationship, romantic, professional, social, has an unspoken balance of power. Who needs whom more? Who values themselves enough to walk away? The one who is less attached always holds the power. Always. And this is not about domination or control, it's about respect. People respect those who can stand alone. They respect those who do not beg for attention, because it signals strength. And strength is irresistible. Think about the opposite. Think about someone who needs you for their happiness. At first, it might feel flattering, but soon it feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like a burden. And eventually, you want to escape. Why? Because deep down, we all want to be with people who choose us, not people who need us to survive. That's the essence of detachment. Choice over need. Love without chains. Presence without possession. Now, let's go deeper into attraction psychology. What draws people together is not just similarity, it's polarity. Tension. A dance between closeness and distance. When someone gives you everything immediately, when they overinvest, when they erase all space, the polarity dies. There's no chase, no curiosity, no anticipation. Detachment restores that balance. It creates space. It makes people wonder, and that wondering fuels desire. But there's an even deeper reason detachment works. It signals emotional control. In a world where everyone reacts, where people explode in anger, beg for attention, spiral in anxiety, the one who stays calm stands out. Detachment is emotional discipline. It's proof that you own yourself. And people are drawn to those who own themselves because it makes them feel safe, inspired, and challenged. Now let's flip the lens. What happens when you're not detached? When you're needy? You text too much. You overthink. You cancel plans to be available. You tolerate disrespect because you fear losing someone. All of these behaviors send one message: I value you more than I value myself. And when you do that, you lose value in their eyes. They stop respecting you because you've shown them that you don't respect yourself. Detachment reverses that message. It says, I value you, but not at the cost of me. I care, but I don't chase. I give, but I don't overgive. I can love you, but I can live without you. That kind of energy is magnetic because it shows you have options. It shows you have boundaries. It shows you're not desperate, and nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. So here's the psychological formula in its simplest form. Neediness equals repulsion. Detachment equals magnetism. Neediness signals lack. Detachment signals abundance. Neediness says, I need you to complete me. Detachment says, I am already complete. And everyone, consciously or unconsciously, gravitates toward those who radiate abundance. Imagine waking up in the morning and the first thing you do isn't reaching for your phone, checking notifications, or wondering who messaged you. Instead, you sit up, stretch, and remind yourself, today, I choose myself. Today, I live on my terms. That's detachment in action, not a distant philosophy, but a daily practice. Detachment is not about not caring. It's about caring the right amount for the right things. It's about shifting your energy from obsession to alignment, from chasing to becoming. And like anything else worth mastering, detachment is a habit, a discipline you practice every single day until it becomes second nature. So how do you actually live this out? How do you practice detachment in a world that constantly demands your attention, where validation feels like oxygen and instant gratification is just one tap away? It begins with a mindset shift, and then it turns into deliberate action. The foundation: stop overtexting. We need to start here because this is where most people destroy their sense of power. Overtexting is not just a behavior, it's a symptom. A symptom of overinvestment, of obsession, of fear of loss. Every time you blow up someone's phone, what you're really saying is, my sense of worth depends on your response. I need you to notice me to feel complete. Think about it from the other side. When someone sends you 10 messages in a row, does it make you want them more? No. It feels desperate. It feels heavy. And heavy energy is repulsive. People aren't drawn to desperation, they're drawn to strength. So how do you break this habit? It's simple in theory, hard in practice. Stop seeking constant reassurance. If you send a message, send it with calm energy and let it breathe. If they respond, great. If they don't, life goes on. This isn't about playing games. It's about not making someone else's attention the center of your emotional universe. Here's a practical exercise. Before you text, ask yourself, am I sending this because I genuinely want to connect, or because I'm trying to fill a void? If it's the second, put the phone down and do something productive. Detachment is about self-control, and every time you resist the urge to over-text, you strengthen that control. Stay busy with your purpose. This is the core of detachment. If you're sitting around all day with nothing meaningful to do, of course you're going to obsess over people. That's what happens when there's an empty space in your life. You try to fill it with attention, with validation, with anything that feels like meaning. But here's the truth. When you have a mission, you don't have time to chase distractions. Think of the most magnetic people you know. They're not available 24/7. They're not waiting by the phone. They're building something, working on something, moving towards something. That's why they're attractive. They have gravity. They're so focused on becoming the best version of themselves that they naturally pull others in without even trying. So what's your purpose? If you don't know, start small. It doesn't have to be something world-changing at first. It could be mastering your craft, starting a fitness journey, learning a skill, or building a side hustle. The key is to create a life that excites you so much that waiting for someone else to validate you feels absurd. Here's the test. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I move closer to my goals today, or did I waste hours chasing people who don't even think about me? That question alone can change your life if you answer it honestly. And remember, purpose is not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. It's waking up and saying, I build, I grow, I create. I don't beg. Every workout, every hour spent learning, every project you complete, it all adds up. That's how confidence is built. That's how detachment becomes natural. Because when you are full of purpose, you don't cling to people, you attract them. Respond, don't chase. Here's another golden rule for practicing detachment. Be the man or woman who responds, not the one who chases. This applies to texts, calls, attention, everything. Chasing is an energy of desperation. Responding is an energy of abundance. One says, I need you. The other says, I'm open, but I'm whole with or without you. What does this look like in practice? Someone texts you. Great. Respond when you can, calmly, without urgency. Don't drop everything to reply in 2 seconds just to prove your availability. That's not confidence. That's anxiety disguised as kindness. Now, someone doesn't text you back? Cool. Move on. Don't double text. Don't spiral. Don't write paragraphs in your head about why they didn't reply. Detachment means giving people the freedom to choose you, and giving yourself the freedom to walk away if they don't. But let's be real. This is hard when you're used to chasing. When your worth has been tied to external validation for years, it feels unnatural to stop seeking it. That's why you need to train yourself, just like building muscle in the gym. Every time you choose to respond instead of chase, you strengthen your inner discipline. Every time you choose to stay calm instead of panic text, you reclaim your power. Here's a mantra for you. I respond, I don't chase. I attract, I don't beg. Repeat that until it becomes a part of you. Because the truth is, the person who chases always ends up with the least respect, the least attraction, and the least power. The one who waits, who chooses, who lives from abundance, that person wins. Always. Build your detachment toolkit. To make detachment a daily habit, you need tools. Here are some practices that will keep you grounded. Meditation. Start with 10 minutes a day. Focus on your breath. When thoughts come, especially thoughts about people, observe them without judgment and let them go. Meditation trains your mind to detach from craving. Fitness. The gym is more than physical. It's psychological. Every rep is a reminder that your body, your health, your growth matter more than anyone's opinion. Plus, fitness boosts confidence, and confident people don't cling. Journaling. Every morning or night, write down your goals, your wins, your gratitude. This keeps your focus on your life, not someone else's approval. Digital discipline. Set boundaries. No checking your phone first thing in the morning. No impulsive double texting. Create space for your mind to breathe. Cold showers or hard challenges. Train yourself to embrace discomfort. Why? Because most neediness comes from avoiding discomfort, like the discomfort of waiting, of uncertainty. If you can handle cold water, you can handle delayed replies without losing your mind. Why this works? Practicing detachment daily changes your psychology. It rewires your brain from scarcity to abundance. At first, it will feel unnatural because you've been conditioned to chase. You've been told that love means obsession, that attention equals worth. But that's a lie. Real love is free. Real worth is internal. And real power comes from control. Control over your impulses, your thoughts, your emotions. When you live detached, you become magnetic. Not because you're playing games, but because you radiate strength. Because you send the message, I am whole. I am focused. I am not waiting. I'm creating. That kind of energy is rare, and people crave it. Detachment is often misunderstood. When people hear the word, they imagine coldness, distance, or a lack of care. They think it means not loving, not feeling, or not engaging with life. But that's not detachment. That's indifference. True detachment is something entirely different, something far more powerful and healthy. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you love deeply without making that love your entire identity. It means you can appreciate someone without being enslaved by the fear of losing them. It's the balance between connection and independence, between love and freedom. When you master this balance, you become magnetic. Why? Because people feel safest around those who are free. They can sense that your happiness isn't dependent on them, that your peace doesn't rise and fall with their attention, that energy is liberating and irresistible. Care, but don't depend. This is the heart of detachment. You care, but you do not depend. Dependence is where relationships become toxic. When your sense of worth, joy, and security are tied to another person, you give away your power. You put your emotional well-being in their hands, and that's dangerous because no one else should control your peace. Imagine two people in a relationship. One says, I need you to be happy. The other says, I love being with you, but I am complete on my own. Which one do you think is more attractive? Which one is more stable? It's the second always. Because needing someone isn't love, it's attachment. And attachment breeds anxiety, control, and fear. True love says, I choose you, but I don't need you to survive. That's the difference between caring and depending. Caring means you enjoy their presence. Depending means you can't function without it. Caring means you give freely. Depending means you demand in return. Here's the truth. The more you depend, the less attractive you become. Why? Because dependence suffocates. It pressures the other person. It turns what should be a choice into an obligation. And no one wants to feel obligated. They want to feel free. So when you detach from dependency, you give people that freedom. And ironically, when people feel free, they choose you more. Love without attachment. It sounds contradictory at first. How can you love someone without being attached? Isn't love a form of attachment? Not exactly. Love and attachment are different. Love is generous. Love says, I want the best for you, even if that means you're not with me. Attachment says, I want you for me, no matter what. Attachment is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. Love, real love, is rooted in freedom. It thrives without chains. When you love without attachment, you don't cling. You don't obsess. You don't need constant reassurance. You can enjoy moments fully without fearing their end. Think of a beautiful sunset. You watch it, you admire it, you feel grateful for it. But when it fades, you don't break down. You don't scream at the sky to bring it back. You let it go because you know that beauty is not something you can hold forever. That's how love should be. Deep appreciation without desperate possession. Here's the irony. When you stop clinging, love becomes stronger. Why? Because it's no longer about control, it's about connection. You're not holding someone hostage with your fears. You're inviting them into a space of freedom where they want to stay because it feels light, not heavy. The energy shift people feel. Detachment creates an energy that people sense immediately. When you're needy, your energy says, please don't leave me. I'm afraid of being without you. That energy pushes people away because it feels like pressure. But when you're detached, your energy says, I enjoy your presence, but I'm whole without it. That energy pulls people in because it feels safe. Think about the people you're drawn to. Are they the ones who cling, who need constant validation, who panic when you don't reply in 5 minutes? No, you're drawn to the ones who are calm, who have their own life, who give you space and still make you feel appreciated. That's detachment in action. It's magnetic because it's rare. Practical ways to care without clinging. So, how do you actually live this out? How do you love someone deeply without losing yourself in the process? It comes down to daily habits, mindset shifts, and self-discipline. Keep your identity intact. Never let your entire identity revolve around another person. Have your own passions, hobbies, and goals. If they're your whole world, you'll lose yourself when they're gone. Give without expecting. When you do something kind, do it freely, not because you want something in return. Expectations are chains. Love without conditions. Detach from outcomes. This is huge. You can love someone and still accept that they might leave. You can care and still understand that things change. Attachment tries to control outcomes. Detachment flows with life. Maintain emotional independence. Feel your emotions, but don't hand them over to someone else. If they don't call, if they cancel plans, breathe. Your happiness is not their responsibility. Invest in yourself daily. Fitness, learning, purpose, these things keep you grounded. When you're full, you don't cling. When your life is rich, you don't obsess over one person. Detachment makes love stronger. Here's what most people don't realize. Detachment doesn't kill love, it strengthens it. Why? Because when you remove fear and control from the equation, what's left is pure connection. The other person feels safe because they know you're with them by choice, not by desperation. Imagine two scenarios. Person A says, "I love you because I need you." Person B says, "I love you because I choose you, even though I'm complete on my own." Which feels more powerful? Which feels more secure? The second one. That's the essence of love without attachment. It's free, and freedom is attractive. Why indifference is not the answer. Some people, in trying to be detached, swing too far the other way. They become cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. That's not detachment. That's fear disguised as strength. Indifference is a defense mechanism. It says, if I don't care, I can't get hurt. But that's not power, that's avoidance. True strength is being able to care deeply and still let go when necessary. It's opening your heart without chains. It's saying, I love you, but I will never beg you. I appreciate you, but I won't lose myself for you. That's real confidence. That's real detachment. So don't confuse detachment with numbness. Numbness is weakness. It's hiding. Detachment is mastery. It's feeling everything, but not being controlled by anything. The ultimate freedom. When you learn to care without depending, you set yourself free. You stop living in fear of loss. You stop playing games for validation. You stop suffocating relationships with insecurity. Instead, you become calm, confident, and magnetic. Because the truth is, the most irresistible people are those who can love fully and still walk away with grace if they have to. That's the paradox. The more you let go, the more you attract. The less you need, the more you receive. Because people are drawn to freedom, not chains. They want to feel chosen, not owned. And detachment gives them that space, while giving you your power back. So care deeply. Love fully. But never make someone else the center of your universe. Because the moment you do, you lose yourself. And losing yourself is the greatest loss of all. Detachment is not just a modern self-improvement concept. It's an ancient philosophy rooted deeply in Stoicism. The Stoics understood something that most people today struggle with. The greatest form of strength is not control over others, but control over yourself. They believe that freedom and peace come from needing less, from mastering your desires instead of being mastered by them. That is the essence of detachment. The quote says it best. He who needs nothing, fears nothing. This simple truth holds incredible power. When you need nothing, no one can control you. No situation can enslave you. No loss can destroy you. Because your happiness, your peace, your strength, none of it depends on anything outside of you. That is what makes detachment so powerful. It is not weakness, not coldness, not lack of care. It is supreme self-mastery. The root of fear, need. Every fear you have comes from attachment. Fear of losing someone, fear of failure, fear of rejection. All of these exist because you believe you need something outside yourself to be okay. If you think you need someone's love to feel worthy, you will fear losing it. If you think you need a certain job to feel valuable, you will fear failure. If you think you need approval to feel accepted, you will fear judgment. Now imagine removing that need. Imagine saying, I love this person, but I don't need them. I enjoy this job, but I am not defined by it. I value respect, but my worth is not dependent on anyone else's opinion. What happens? Fear disappears. Pressure disappears. Suddenly, you're free. That is why the Stoics taught that the key to peace is not in getting everything you want, it's in needing less. Control the controllable. Stoicism is about focusing only on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. And here's the truth. You cannot control other people. You cannot control outcomes. You cannot control what the world throws at you. But you can control your response. You can control your thoughts, your actions, your perspective. That's where your power lies. Detachment means you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable. You stop obsessing over whether someone will stay or leave. You stop spiraling over things that are not in your hands. Instead, you place your energy where it matters. Your character, your discipline, your purpose. Because those are yours. No one can take them from you. When you accept this, life becomes lighter. You stop clinging. You stop begging. You stop living in fear. And ironically, when you do that, life starts giving you more because you're operating from strength, not weakness. Self-control is power. True power is not about dominating others. It's not about making people obey you or bend to your will. That's insecurity in disguise. Real power is self-control. If someone insults you and you lose your temper, they controlled you. If someone ignores your text and you spiral into anxiety, they controlled you. If circumstances change and you break down, life controlled you. But if you remain calm, steady, unshaken, you control you. That is the highest level of strength. The Stoics believe that freedom is internal. A man can be in chains physically and still be free if his mind is unshaken. Likewise, a man can have money, fame, and power, yet still be a slave to his desires, his ego, his fear of loss. Detachment sets you free from that slavery. It says, I will not let external things dictate my peace. I own my emotions. I own my mind. Think about this. If everything you rely on can be taken away, status, relationships, possessions, then your peace is fragile. One change and you collapse. But if your peace comes from within, from who you are and how you choose to respond, then nothing can touch you. That's why the Stoics considered self-control the ultimate power. Why needing nothing makes you irresistible. When you don't need anything from anyone, you become magnetic. People feel it. They sense that you're whole, that you're not desperate for their validation. And that is rare. Most people are constantly seeking approval, attention, or control. When you don't, you stand out. You move differently. You speak differently. You're calm when others panic, composed when others react. That's the kind of energy people gravitate toward. But this isn't about playing a game or pretending not to care. That's just manipulation in disguise. Real detachment is internal. It's not about faking confidence. It's about having it. It's about truly being okay whether people stay or go, whether life goes your way or not. That confidence cannot be faked. It comes from mastering yourself. The inner fortress. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting." What he meant was that your mind is your fortress. No matter what happens outside, you can choose how to see it. You can choose how to respond. You can take pain and turn it into strength. You can take loss and turn it into wisdom. That's detachment, not letting external chaos shake your internal stability. Build that fortress. How? Through discipline, through reflection, through constant practice. Every time you feel the urge to cling, pause. Every time you feel anxiety about what you can't control, breathe. Ask yourself, is this in my power? If not, let it go. That is how you train detachment. Not by avoiding love, not by avoiding life, but by facing it without fear. Freedom from outcomes. One of the greatest sources of suffering is obsession with outcomes. We want certainty. We want guarantees. We want to know that this person will stay, that this plan will succeed, that life will unfold exactly how we want. But life doesn't work that way. And the more you fight that truth, the more you suffer. Detachment is surrender, not to weakness, but to reality. It says, I will do my best, but I will not cling to the result. If it works, good. If it doesn't, I'll adapt. That mindset makes you unstoppable, because nothing breaks you. Nothing owns you. You flow like water. You move forward regardless of obstacles. That's power. The practice of Stoic detachment. This isn't something you achieve once and forget. It's a daily discipline. The Stoics practiced it through journaling, reflection, and mental exercises. Here are some ways to live it. Negative visualization. Imagine losing what you value. not to depress yourself, but to remind yourself that nothing is guaranteed. This makes you appreciate more and cling less. Focus on virtue. For the Stoics, the only true good was virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. Everything else was secondary. Align your life with values, not possessions or approval. Pause before reacting. When triggered, breathe before you speak. Ask, is this worth losing my peace over? Detach from praise and criticism. Neither defines you. Stay steady whether people cheer or mock you. Simplify. The fewer things you depend on for happiness, the freer you are. The highest form of strength. Detachment is not about rejecting the world. It's about engaging with it fully without being owned by it. You can love deeply and still let go. You can enjoy wealth without being enslaved by it. You can hold power without it corrupting you. That's strength. That's freedom. That's dangerous confidence. When you reach the point where you truly need nothing, not because you deny desire, but because you refuse to be a slave to it, you become untouchable. When you strip everything down to its core, attraction is not about looks, status, or words. It's about energy. It's about the way you carry yourself, the way you move through the world, the way you hold or release your need for control. And here's the paradox that most people will never understand. The moment you stop trying to grip everything tightly is the moment everything starts to flow to you. The moment you let go, people start holding on. That is the essence of detachment. That is what makes you irresistible. When you walk away, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in calm strength, people feel it. They feel the confidence that comes from someone who doesn't need to beg, doesn't need to cling, doesn't need to force anything to happen. That kind of presence speaks louder than 1,000 words. It says, I am enough. I am whole. If you want to be here, good. If not, I'll be fine. That is the energy people crave because it's rare. Most people are needy. Most people are desperate for validation. But when you're not, you become the exception. And the exception is always irresistible. The truth is this: need chases people away. It suffocates. It signals weakness, fear, and dependency. When someone feels like you can't live without them, it creates pressure. It makes them feel trapped. They start to pull away because nobody wants to feel like they're someone else's lifeline. But detachment? Detachment feels like freedom. It feels like choice. It feels like breathing fresh air. And nothing attracts more than freedom. Think about the times you've been drawn to someone. Was it when they were blowing up your phone, waiting on your every move, making you feel like their world revolved around you? Or was it when they were living fully, confident, present in their own life, giving you space instead of smothering you? You know the answer. Humans crave what they can't completely have. They desire what's not begging for their attention. That's why detachment is magnetic. It creates mystery. It creates respect. It creates value. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean shutting off your emotions or refusing to care. It means you care from strength, not weakness. It means you love freely, but you don't chain yourself to the outcome. It means you can enjoy someone's presence deeply, but if they leave, you remain whole. That balance, that ability to give without losing yourself, is rare. And rarity commands attention. When you reach that level, something incredible happens. People start chasing you, not because you're playing games, but because your energy feels secure. You're not desperate. You're not trying to fill a void. You are complete on your own, and that completeness is attractive. It signals strength. It signals independence. It signals confidence. And here's the beauty. This kind of attraction is sustainable because it's real. It's not built on manipulation or pretense. It's built on self-mastery. So how do you get there? How do you truly let go without pretending? The answer is simple, but not easy. You stop needing. You stop basing your worth on anything external. You stop believing that your happiness depends on someone else's presence, attention, or approval. You take that power back. You build your life around your values, your purpose, your growth. You fill your time with things that make you stronger, wiser, healthier. You become so focused on leveling up that you don't have time to obsess over what anyone else is doing. And when you do that, something shifts. You stop radiating desperation. You start radiating abundance. And people feel that difference immediately. Imagine this scenario. You're texting someone, and they take hours to respond. If you're needy, you spiral. You check your phone every 2 minutes. You overthink every word. You start losing your sense of calm. And when they finally reply, your response is charged with all that anxiety. You either overcompensate by being overly enthusiastic or you lash out. Both kill attraction. Now flip the scenario, you're detached. They take hours to respond, and you don't even notice because you're busy with your life. When you do see the message, you reply calmly, without overthinking. There's no pressure, no tension, and that calm confidence speaks louder than any clever text ever could. That is the power of detachment. It's not about ignoring people. It's about not obsessing. It's about having a full life that doesn't stop because of a message, a person, or an outcome. It's about showing the world that you choose people, not need them. And when you truly live this way, you flip the dynamic. You go from chasing to being chased. You go from trying to be chosen to being the one who decides. Because people are drawn to what's scarce, to what's secure, to what's in control. And nothing signals control more than a person who isn't afraid to walk away. That's why the visual of a man walking away calmly while someone looks back is so powerful. It's a symbol. It's the essence of this truth. When you have the strength to let go, you stop being a prisoner. You stop living in fear. You become free. And freedom is irresistible. Because deep down, everyone wants it. Everyone wants to feel unchained from fear, from need, from desperation. And when they see it in you, they can't help but be drawn to it. But here's something most people miss. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to let go while secretly obsessing. You can't act detached as a tactic, because people feel energy. They know when you're playing a role. True detachment is internal. It's real. It comes from doing the work, building self-worth, building confidence, building a life so full that no single person defines your happiness. That's why this message is so important. It's not about tricks. It's about transformation. You don't just act detached. You become someone who truly doesn't need to cling. Someone who chooses because they want to, not because they have to. And when you reach that level, the whole game changes. You stop fearing rejection because rejection can't break you. You stop fearing loss because loss doesn't define you. You stop fearing uncertainty because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. That is ultimate power. That is what makes you truly dangerous. Not to others, but to your old self, the one who used to beg for crumbs of attention. That version of you dies, and a new version is born, calm, confident, magnetic. So let this sink in. Need nothing. Control yourself. That is the foundation of being irresistible. Not because you're trying to attract people, but because you've mastered the art of being enough on your own. That's the paradox. When you stop needing, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, everything you want starts coming to you. Opportunities, relationships, respect, they all flow to those who are centered, calm, and whole. Now it's time to act. This isn't something you read and forget. It's something you practice every day. Every time you feel the urge to cling, to obsess, to beg, pause. Remind yourself, I am enough. I don't need. I choose. Every time fear whispers that you'll lose someone, answer back. If they go, I remain. I will not break. Build your purpose. Build your body. Build your mind. Fill your life so fully that your happiness never depends on anyone else. That is how you win. That is how you become untouchable. So the final message is this. When you let go, they hold on. Not because you're manipulating them, but because you've created something rare, freedom and strength combined. People crave it. They respect it. They admire it. And if they stay, it's because they want to, not because you trap them. That's real power. That's real love. That's real confidence. Start today. Detach. Focus on yourself. And watch how everything you want starts coming to you. Not because you chased it, but because you became the person who doesn't need to chase. That is the key. That is the truth. And once you master it, you'll never see the world the same way again.